how people, when you say that you're dieting, will give you a pass on not eating. But when you say, I'm just not hungry, then they give you a hard time and act like you should override that signal. And what is wrong with you? It doesn't matter if you're not hungry, you should eat anyway. You ever notice that? I've noticed that. It's like the diet gives us some legal permission not to eat, something that we need instead of just listening to our own bodies. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, those awkward situations that you may have found yourself in as you've started to eat according to your body and the freedom boundaries. We're going to talk about how you navigate those things so you can keep going forward. Now, I'm just going to remind you, for those that don't know me, my name is Stephanie Lamangelo. I'm a family nurse practitioner. I'm a functional medicine provider, and I'm a transformation coach. If you want to know more about the freedom boundaries we've talked about, you can go into my lives, and I will link it in my description after this is over, and you can watch all the lives that have led up to this. I believe this is number 6. But for those of you that have been following me this whole time, I want to encourage you to go back and listen to the live based on distractions. It's titled, the thumbnail says, Stay Focused. So I want you to go back and listen to that if you're finding yourself a little bit distracted in the last few days. The first thing we're going to talk about, I have my trusty notes here, is a question that I've wondered and that other people have asked me about, and that is, will this way of eating stop working? Yeah, maybe it will work for me now, but will it stop working? Because your experience has been in the past, you start a diet, it goes really well, you lose weight, you stop the diet, you gain weight. But here's the great thing about eating within hunger and fullness and listening to your body. It is an immutable principle. Here's your vocabulary word for today, immutable. It means it cannot be changed and it will not stop. It has existed since the beginning of the time because it's something that God has put inside our bodies. So will this stop working? Absolutely not. The only way that this will stop working for you is if you stop listening to the signals that God has already put in your body. And the exciting thing about this awesome God that we serve that gave us these boundaries is that you can follow his boundaries and be blessed whether you believe in him or not, because he is kind and good. And so these will work even if you're not a believer. I believe that the best thing is to follow Jesus, obviously. But if that is not where you're at in your life, you can still apply these. So don't cop out on me. All of these freedom boundaries still apply to you. Hunger and fullness is in every person that ever walked the face of the earth. And you absolutely can lose weight based on listening to your body. The next question that I've had is, should I weigh myself? And here's my answer. Yes and no. And that's very helpful. I say that because you need to have some way of measuring the changes in your body. And this is why. Some people have heard about body dysmorphia when it comes to anorexics and bulimics, how that when they're really thin, they don't understand how thin they are. Well, I believe we have the same type of body dysmorphia when we start gaining weight. It's like we don't even realize, because we put it on gradually, that we are gaining it. And I think it's very important to keep ourselves honest and to keep ourselves in line with the boundaries that we want to walk in, to have some way of measuring that. Now, I believe in having a scale. Some of you may be wondering why. I think it was 3 weeks ago, I talked about that I had lost 12 pounds and I've not mentioned anything since then. Well, that's because my scale broke. And I remember that I don't have a scale when I lay down at night, but I have yet to remember it during the day when I can either order it or go to the store. And when I do that, I will absolutely give you guys an update. It's important for me because I know that I've seen myself both thinner than I really am and heavier than I really am. And I want to have something that helps me measure my progress. Now, you can do this by that pair of jeans that you keep trying on, and that's fine. You can do this by measuring yourself with a measuring tape, and that's fine. If you freak out about numbers, I have two things to say to you. Number one, you don't have to freak out about numbers because you are more than that number on the scale. Those numbers don't have to control you any more than food has to control you. You are bigger than that. But there is grace here, and I totally understand. One of the things that I have done in the past when I couldn't find my measuring tape because it disappeared is I just took a piece of yarn and I wrapped it around my waist and I marked it where it met, and I made it a little bit longer so that if I gained weight, I would know, but then I would mark myself by that. And so I knew when I was losing weight. So you need to have something to measure by, because if you are doing these principles, yes, you will be losing weight and you will be getting smaller. Now let's talk about the fact that if you're doing this as a woman, if you still have hormonal cycles, if you still have your periods, then you're going to have some water weight gain at times, and you're going to have some bloating at times. And even men that are dealing with digestive issues, they're going to have water weight and bloating. So you need to keep that in the scheme of things. Just understand that sometimes it's going to be up, but you need to be consistently going down. Don't lie to yourself and blame it on hormones every time. But also do not condemn yourself and say, I'm a horrible person and I've been eating too much, if you have one of those times where you weigh a little bit more or measure a little bit bigger. Here's the next thing related to that. How do I keep myself on track? And how do I know if I'm even on track in the first place? Well, according to the principles, when you eat when you're hungry and you stop when you're full, how much you eat is going to determine how much you weigh. If you are already a normal weight and you're just dealing with food obsession, you may not lose anything, because that may just be what your body does. But for most of us, you're going to lose weight. How fast? Well, that depends on how much you decide to eat, because it's your hunger and your fullness that we're talking about. I've said before, and I will talk about next week, we're going to talk about fasting and how that fits into this lifestyle. But you can skip hunger as many times as you want to and still be able to function. That's what fasting is. So how much you eat determines your weight. So if you want to weigh less quicker, eat less. Maybe don't eat all the way till full, like the full. Eat till I'm satisfied and my hunger went away. That is totally up to you. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. And the end of that marathon is when you take your last breath, okay? There is grace here. There is not pressure to do it perfect. We want to honor our bodies with, or honor our body signals. We want to honor God with our bodies, and we want to be able to live our lives, right? So that is your decision. How do I know if I'm on track? You're going to be losing weight. How do I know if I'm on track? You're going to start feeling better. How do I know if I'm on track? You are going to realize that the food noise is going away. Or maybe you realize that your digestive problems are not as much because you're not stressing out your digestive system as much as you have been in the past. Maybe you just realize you have a better outlook on life. Maybe you realize you have more time to do what you've always wanted to do. Those are the things you measure it by. Now, when you get off track, when you find that you've not been losing weight for, like, say, a month, or your measurements are going up and up instead of up and down and up and down and up and down, then here's the final principle that I have not talked about before. We have the first three principles, which is eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full. How much you eat determines your weight, and what you eat determines your health, and not to eat sugar when you're tired or stressed. But the fourth principle is just a loop around. And I heard God say this to me when he was teaching me the principles. If you are not losing weight, go back to the first principle. Go back through and find out what it is that you are not aligning yourself with. And if you have to do that 100 times a day until it becomes part of who you are, that is totally, totally fine. There is grace here. This is about a progressive walking forward. It is. And I'm so proud that you're even tuned in to want to learn these things, because most people aren't willing to make the simple but hard choices that you are making right now. And I'm very proud of you for what it's worth. All right, the next one is eating at work. When we work in offices especially, it is very hard to break free from that tradition of maybe we all eat together, or maybe we have certain days we go to certain places. Every office I've ever worked in was like that. It was, oh, we're going to make a food order. What do you want? And you know, who wants what? And the smaller the office, the more intimate it was, and the more people expected you to eat with them. In the bigger offices I've worked in, the bigger medical offices where there was a lot of people and we all had staggered lunches, nobody really paid attention to it. But in the smaller ones, it was hard. Or if you're if you're working in an industrial setting where people have, you have the same shift every day, so you have the same lunchtime every day, and usually people are in these big cafeterias and they expect you to eat because you have this group that you have bonded with through work and through these meals and these break times. So what do you do with that? First of all, understand that it's okay to simply say, I'm not going to come into the cafeteria today. I'm not doing lunch today because I'm not hungry. That is okay. And it is okay if that makes them feel weird, because you're not responsible for their feelings. But if you want to go in and eat with your friends and your coworkers, you can start by doing this. Skip your breakfast. Just skip your breakfast. That way you know that you will be hungry at lunch. Because when we first start this, and maybe even as you get farther into it, I know for me, I eat like 2 meals a day and 1 small snack. Now, the small snack may be my breakfast, and I may have a lunch or a dinner, but normally I have a lunch or a breakfast about 11 or 12 o'clock, because that's when I get hungry. And then around 3 or 4, I'm hungry, and so I will eat something small. And then 6 or 6:30, I have dinner with my family. And that is my routine. That's what works for me. Now, some days I'm super hungry first thing when I wake up, but other days I'm not. And my typical is like 2 real meals a day. Yours may be 3, it may be 4, it may be 5, because it all depends on how much you eat, what you eat, and if you are eating what your body needs, because when you eat what your body needs, you're more satisfied and you're not going to feel hungry as quick. All right. Do you guys hear my dryer? That's going to drive me crazy. There's nobody here to turn it off, but it's all good. All right. So you can skip breakfast. You can go run errands during lunch if you are free to go away from your workplace during lunch. And that way you don't have to feel the pressure, because nobody's like, oh, you're not going to eat lunch with us, you're going to run errands, because everybody knows that sometimes you have to run errands. It's okay to step away from that if you're feeling pressured and not feeling comfortable about setting boundaries about what you eat and when you eat. But here's the thing. You can go out to eat with your friends. You can eat whatever you want. Just be mindful to stop when you're full. And if that looks like bringing home leftovers, then great, you have lunch for the next day. And if you can stretch 1 lunch meal into 2 lunch meals, you just lost weight and saved money. There you go. See, it's all good. It all works good. I'm just checking the chats to make sure everybody's good. All right. Next thing. So we talk about eating at work and how that can be awkward. And what about this? I'm going to tell you what would happen to me when I worked at CeeLo Health Center, we would have people around the holidays bring us food. Or if we helped people when they were sick, when they got better, they would bring us food. And they expected you to eat that food. Here is the issue. You don't have to eat all the food. You can share the food. I would taste the food that people would bring to me, and sometimes I would bring it home, but most of the time I would leave it for everybody else because I didn't want to constantly have to be eating foods that I felt like were not the best choice for my body. But you can eat every one of them. Just remember, you're not eating to satisfy anybody else. But you also don't have to be like, oh, I can't eat that because it's bad. Remember, no foods are bad. Isn't this awesome? Isn't it awesome that no foods are bad and you can eat what you want between hunger and fullness? All right. The next thing that kind of goes along with work and those strange times when we eat are special occasions. Now, I was raised that in special occasions you eat. It's Christmas, you eat. It's Thanksgiving, you eat. It's a birthday party, you eat. It's Valentine's Day, you eat. Honestly, like we've talked about, I was raised, you eat for everything. If it's a funeral, you eat. You eat all the time. And those special occasions can feel very overwhelming because in those times is when we have these heightened emotions. Maybe your family has this wonderful relationship and everybody always eats until they just feel like they're going to fall over. And then everybody lays on the couch and watches a movie. Maybe that's your tradition and you feel like if you're not the one that overeats, you're not a part of the tradition. Or maybe your family is very emotionally stressed right now. And when you go to your family functions, it is very emotional. So you want to eat so you don't have to feel those emotions. So special occasions can be very overwhelming. But again, I'm going to remind you, grace. Grace is the thing that you have to focus on here. You use the same principles that you do with work. If you know you have a big special occasion, if you're being taken out to your favorite restaurant for your birthday, just don't eat. Just don't eat before that, or give yourself a big space. It may be hard for you as you first start to know, if I eat this much, I won't be hungry until now. For me, most of the time, based on what I eat, I know exactly when I'm going to get hungry because I know some things will stick with me 2 or 3 hours, some 4 or 5, and some it won't be until the next day that I get hungry. And you will learn those things, but there is grace here and it is okay. So either eat a smaller meal or don't eat at all before you go out. And stop it with the fear that you're going to overeat because you're going to be so hungry. That is a lie that you have been told, that you have no self-control. Like you go in and you tackle the people that are bringing you the chips at the Mexican restaurant and wrestle the queso out of their hands and beat everybody else away. I guarantee not one of you have done that before. Not one, because it is not true that you don't have self-control. It is true that we don't always choose to engage the self-control that the Holy Spirit has said we have access to. But it is a lie that you will get so hungry that you will overeat. Here's some tips with that. If you feel really hungry and you don't want to overeat, then take smaller bites or drink a little bit of juice right before your meal, or sweet tea or something with some sugar in it so your hunger goes down just a little bit. Now, I'm going to stop right here and talk about sweetened drinks. I shouldn't throw it in the middle of special occasions, but I'm going to, because most of us, if we don't drink sweetened drinks all the time on a regular basis, then we drink them on special occasions. That is totally fine. You are welcome to drink whatever you want to drink, but just be aware that when you drink a sweetened drink, your body is taking in calories, so you're not going to want to eat as much if you're listening. And it is very easy to overdrink calories. It is very easy to take in too much and be like, wow, I really shouldn't have had 3 glasses of Coke. I really shouldn't have had, for me, it would be iced tea. I cannot allow myself to even drink a whole thing of iced tea because I will drink it and not pay attention to eating. And then I am to my fullness level, and then I'm overfull, and that's no good. But freedom, you have freedom to drink whatever you want to. Just know that that's going to change how your body responds to hunger and fullness. All right, so back to these special occasions. You have control. You can choose whatever you want. You can remember that nobody's family says you can't take home food. We usually all go home with more food than we need anyway. So if you eat your meal and you are thinking, I really want a piece of grandma's pecan pie, but I'm full, but if I don't get it now, it'll all be gone. Well, then go in there and put you a little piece on a plate and wrap it up and know that, and hide it from, your crazy cousins that are going to eat it, right? We all have some of those. But just know that you can take whatever you want home with you to eat again. And sometimes that's more special to have something to look forward to than it is to eat all of that and then feel bad and then be like, wow, I wish I had a piece of that pie now that I'm actually hungry and feel better. So we had a comment come in, guilty of drinking too many calories. Yes, absolutely. It is easy to do. And again, here's the grace. There's grace in that, but drinking those calories doesn't give your body a whole lot of nutrition. Now, there are people that absolutely survive on sodas and they are not healthy, but you usually will look at them and they are skinny. This is a whole different video that I should do as a provider, but yeah, just be mindful. So let me say this without putting any guilt on you. The fact that you feel that you use the word guilty makes me wonder, because I think we still feel like there are good foods and bad foods. So you have to remember there are no bad foods. There are some that your body doesn't respond to as well. And that's how you measure it. So we got another one. Even with so-called protein shakes, when you start to add things in them. Yes, absolutely. Let me wrap back around to this. I'm going to write a note for that. Let me finish up special occasions. All right. If you're not hungry when you go to your special occasion, simply tell people, I'm not hungry yet. I will eat when I'm hungry. If you're going to a party, if you don't make a big deal about eating, nobody else is going to make a big deal about you eating. And when you say, oh, I know the food looks so great, when I'm hungry, I will eat. It takes the pressure off. And that's where you leave it. And if they feel awkward, that's their problem. Let them deal with their awkwardness. But you can be free to eat or not eat. I want to remind you of this. Special occasions are for you to engage with the people. And if the special occasion is all about food, then I'm going to remind you it's probably not so special. Because if you would rather have the food than the people, that's another issue. So engage with the people. People want you to eat because they want to feel like they're engaging with you. But if you sit there and drink a cup of coffee or your drink or whatever, or have a small little plate, they still feel like you're engaging with them. That's what they want. The eating represents relationship and community. So give them the relationship and the community. Just don't overeat. Here's the other thing. If you only have room for a piece of cake or a piece of pie or the dessert at your favorite restaurant because you're not quite hungry yet, or you're a little bit hungry, and you know if you eat a regular meal and then your dessert, you're going to be too full, then do this. Eat your cake. I said it. I'm a medical professional and I am telling you to eat your dessert first. When we eat other food to earn the right to eat the food that we want, we just end up overeating. Eat your cake first if you want to eat your cake. I can remember specifically an event where somebody said to me, you are the strangest eater I've ever seen. I was eating and I had a roast beef sandwich and I had been craving a whatchamacallit candy bar. And I ate half of my roast beef and then I ate half of my whatchamacallit. And then I went back and ate the rest of my roast beef because I realized I was still hungry. And they were like, that is so weird. And I said, it's not weird. I wanted to have room for my whatchamacallit. And if I had wanted it first, I would have eaten it first. But I also wanted some of my roast beef sandwich. You can flip your meals. It's okay. Because if you flip them too much and you eat your dessert too much, what you eat determines your health. You'll start feeling bad if you're eating too much dessert. So it will all even out. Trust your body and trust Holy Spirit to speak to you and listen to those cues. It's totally fine to listen to those cues. When we're talking about special occasions where we're eating out with friends, if it is a friend that you have spent a lot of time overeating with, you're probably going to get the most resistance. Here's the thing you need to understand. If the only relationship you have with them is based on your weakness of overeating and that the activity of gluttony, that's probably not a good friend. I would say to them, be honest. Be honest about that you feel like that you want to really rein your body in and listen to your body and listen to the boundaries that God has put in it. But be prepared. Remember when I talked about being emotionally tied to somebody and sometimes you start going up the steps or up a path and they're going on the straight path and there's this bond and it starts tugging. And usually what happens is we fall back down to them. We rarely pull them up. Sometimes you have to let go of those friendships in the way that you have had them. But here's this. Suggest you do an occasion, an outing that isn't around food. Go to a movie or go to the bookstore or go to the theater or go for a walk. Find a different way to relate to that person if they're always pressuring you to eat. And if they won't stop after you have told them how you feel and how you're trying to transform your life, cut that tie and let them go, and you travel your journey and they can travel theirs, and you can both still be blessed, and it's okay. But you need to remember, like we talked about, that you're probably going to get resistance from those people, just like if you had drinking buddies or if you were in other kinds of addictions with people, they feel guilt and conviction when you are starting to walk in your transformation and your fullness. And you can offer them the grace that you're walking in. You can offer them life, but they have to choose it. Now, the last big thing that we're going to talk about is the one question that I got so much as a nurse practitioner, and that was, what about my medications? What about my supplements? I have to take these when I eat, so what do I do then? Well, first of all, this is what I would tell people. Your medications, diabetic medications, are the main ones, and antibiotics are the main ones that you need to take with food. Diabetic medications, because they're going to bring down your blood sugar, and if you take them without eating, it's going to drop your blood sugar too low. And antibiotics, because it will mess up your gut. Most of them will, if you've not put something in your stomach before you put that antibiotic in. The rest of your medications really don't have to be taken with food. But if you feel like you're sensitive, or there's these rare medications that say take with food, that doesn't mean a full meal. That means you can have a couple of crackers. You can have a spoonful of peanut butter. You can have a couple of spoonfuls of yogurt. You don't have to, a little cup of applesauce, half a banana. You don't have to eat it with a full meal. As far as diabetic medications go, you will probably find as you lose weight that you don't need your diabetic medications as much. And talk to your provider about adjusting those so you can continue to listen to hunger and fullness. Because the majority of diabetics that are type 2 diabetics, well, all type 2 diabetics are insulin resistant because they have eaten too much and build up this resistance. That's another video. I'm not going to get deep into it. But just know, if you have to take your medication with food, it doesn't have to be a full meal. Now, let's talk about supplements. I believe that supplements can be really beneficial, and I take some supplements to support my thyroid. I seem to have a hard time keeping my vitamin D levels up, so I take vitamin D, and I started taking magnesium years ago when I was working too many hours and my body couldn't relax as a new nurse. But I will tell you this, I don't take anything consistently. I don't know whether that's good or bad, but I just believe, just like I believe you don't have to have a diet plan, I don't believe you need to be on supplements for the rest of your life unless your body cannot function without one, like B vitamins and vitamin D, those kind of things. I'm not here to throw shade on supplements. I'm a functional medicine provider. I tell people to take supplements all the time. I'm just saying, maybe as you start eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're full, as you start listening to the Holy Spirit and listening to your body about what you should take in, maybe you'll find that those health problems that you are needing supplements for have gone away. I believe that that's going to happen. That is my belief and prayer for you. The supplements that you do need to take with food are the fat-soluble vitamins. That is A, D, E, and K. If you don't take those with food, then your body is absorbing very little of them because they need to be dissolved in fat to be absorbed. So the spoonful of peanut butter, the couple of spoonfuls of full-fat yogurt, not fat-free yogurt, even a pat of butter, a little teaspoon of coconut oil. You can use all of those to take those supplements and they will absorb better. So that's where we stand on the fat-soluble vitamins. Now, there are some things that are going to absolutely mess up your gut as far as supplements. Zinc is the number one culprit. If you have a multivitamin with enough zinc in it, or you're taking zinc on its own, it will mess up your stomach. Take it with your full meal. Do not try to take it on an empty stomach. It will absolutely make you sick, like you've never been sick before, miserable sick, like you are pregnant with quadruplets. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Wait to take your zinc supplement with your food. And if you're fasting, just don't take it. Just don't take it. That's okay. Vitamin C, for some people, can really mess up their stomachs, and you need to take it with a little bit of food. For most people, if you get used to it, it doesn't do that. Or you can buy a buffered brand. Buffered vitamin C, like Ester C, is gentle on your stomach. So there are options. Don't feel like you're trapped. Any place you feel like you're trapped with your medicines or your supplements or your food or even your exercise routine, that is not your Father. He doesn't trap you in situations. He gives you choices. So just remember that. Magnesium is the other thing that can really mess up people's stomach, give them heartburn. And if you take too much, it will absolutely give you diarrhea. It will not kill you. It will just give you diarrhea. So just take that into consideration. But remember, again, there is grace here. There's grace. Let me give you a little tip. I know that this is not about how to find supplements and take supplements. This is what I know about supplements. Your supplements, if you decide to start a supplement, within a few days, you will know whether you can tolerate it or not. Within a month, you will know if your body is starting to adjust to it because you'll feel just a little bit better. Within 3 months, you will start feeling considerably better if this supplement is going to help you. And within 6 months, you will have the full benefits of that supplement, and it's probably the most that it's going to do, so you will just continue at that stage. The thing about supplements is sometimes we forget how bad we felt before we started taking them, so we don't know if supplements are still helping us. So just stop taking it. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Stop taking your supplement. And if you notice that those things are going backwards, like you don't feel quite as good as you did, and then you start feeling really bad, start taking your supplement again. There is grace, grace, grace. Please don't get yourself caught in a religious diet, supplement, medical world says it has to be this way box, okay? It does not have to be this way. The last medication that I'm going to mention is people taking medication for reflux. I'm going to say it. Nobody wants to hear it. You have reflux because you're overeating, because you have stretched your stomach, because you are putting too much pressure on the sphincter muscle, like that kind of muscle that's at the top of your digestive system. Yes, there is one at the start of your digestive system and one at the end of your digestive system. If you put too much pressure on either of them, they will open up. I'm just saying, you put too much pressure, you eat, and then you sit, and then that puts more pressure on your abdomen and your stomach, and you open up that muscle, and that acid that's supposed to be inside your stomach, because your stomach is protected with a mucus lining, comes up in your esophagus, and your esophagus is not protected. And if you have it bad, it'll come all the way up and into your sinuses and give you sinus polyps and give you sinus infections and give you this little... People are like, I don't know, I think I have allergies. I'm like, no, you don't. You have reflux. And you have reflux because you're overeating. And then the medicine reduces the acid. And you know what happens when you reduce the acid? Your body made a whole lot of acid because you brought in a whole lot of food. Then your body can't digest the food properly. And those medications also interfere with the absorption of so many nutrients, especially B vitamins. So if you're taking that, take a B vitamin. I know I'm off on a tangent, but I'm just telling you, when you start listening to your body, that GERD, that reflux is going to go away. But if you, when it starts going away, let me say this. I believe that God can take it away and you can stop the medication cold turkey. It's not going to hurt you. You're not going to have any kind of withdrawals as far as, oh, it's bad for my body. No, it's not. But it has suppressed the acid in your stomach for so long, your acid will go up a little bit and you will have really bad heartburn probably for 2 weeks. But do you want to stay on a medication for the rest of your life that we know is connected to cancer and all kinds of esophageal problems? Or do you want to bring your body into alignment? I'm not trying to be mean. I'm being truthful. I have preached this to so many of my patients, and I know reflux is horrible. I had never had heartburn in my life until I was pregnant with my first child. And from the first part of the second trimester to the rest of the pregnancy, I had horrible heartburn and it was miserable. But you know what? I lived, and so will you. You have to decide what's more important. You did this to your body. You did. Now, some people have reflux because they got a gut bug and everything's off balance, but most people have reflux because they are eating too much or drinking too much acidic things. Where are you? And are you going to bring yourself into alignment? All right, guys, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Next week, we're going to talk about failure, flesh, and fasting. So tune in next Wednesday at 7:30. I hope you have a great evening. Love to all of you. I will see you next week. Bye.